Well, it's fusion time. Anybody still there? Anybody doing this fusion? Hey, it's Cortavius. So, looking at the fusion schedule, trying to decide myself, am I doing the fusion? So, good. I guess from the testing I've seen, it looks like he's a good damage dealer for Hydra, and he brings weaken, decreased speed, so some utility. There's a lot of champs out there you can use for that same function. So, and even 3 fusions this year that bring weaken for Hydra with Esme and also Mad Hatter, and Mad Hatter's definitely a better champ for Hydra. So I don't know. I do have Fina on the free to play, so the ability to combine Fina with him's kind of compelling, but that's the account I probably would have skipped if I wanted to, because the resources there are more impactful to the account. On the main, yeah, doing a fusion's really no big deal, so I'll probably just pick him up just because it's really not that hard. Doesn't take that much, but the free to play, there's definitely work there, and you gotta do the fragments, which if you look in the bottom corner here, they gave us 450 fragments. So the good news is you can skip something in this, or skip two events. So they've given some leeway, which is helpful, but you do have to do enough fragments to get 4 of these void epics, and you got to turn all 4 void epics into 50s with full ascension. So it feels like you're making a 6-star champ, and is this the one you'd want to make? I don't know. It's a question. The epic's not bad, so you could certainly get the epic instead. You could turn them into mod fragments if you just want to get mod fragments. So you could get all 450, get the fusion, and take the extra 50 to mod. So there's different things you can do here depending on how motivated you are to get the champ. So I think what I'll do is I'll just start doing the fusion on both accounts and just see if the point requirements are reasonable and I'm just kind of moving along and getting him, or if I just realize it's just too many point requirements and he's not worth it to me. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, and then if I end up at the end with him, then I do. So if you're not motivated for this guy though, and you just want to get a better legendary, then hey, use my link in the description below, and you can actually pick up Karato. He's a nuker who can actually do damage in more game modes, and also brings in the ability to lock down the enemy. So he's pretty helpful in that regard. A good legendary to start with, and you also get Tagoar when you hit level 15. Who's a very strong epic to actually keep the team alive. So that's definitely another path you could take. So click the link in the description now. All right, well, if you didn't do that and you're still here on the fusion and heading forward, let's take a look at the calendar. I guess also to catch a couple time frames in here, we do have CVC running on Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's a great time to do Spiders tournament and also Dungeon Divers. So I would wait for the CVC to start, and we'll see how these actually work out. I think what this means is when CVC starts, this Dungeon Divers will probably be live, but pay attention to that because you should be able to triple dip. Get Spiders done while getting CVC's points while getting Dungeon Divers done. So Spiders, Dungeon Divers, and CVC all in one hit. So that's pretty useful. I would blow through Spiders and get that done, and then I would start focusing on the champ training once you're done with Spiders. You've got plenty of time within CVC to do champ training and also get points. By the way, you can make 6 stars in champ training and get points, and making 6 stars and fully ascending a 6-star is worth a lot of points in CVC. You don't get champ training points for ascending a champ in a champ training event, only in a champ training tournament, but it's a lot of CVC points. So if you've got 6 stars you were planning to make anyway, you can get points in champ training and also get points in CVC. I'd take them in some minnow runs actually, and get them some scrolls and get some levels and then ascend them. So it's a really cool way to get points in CVC. And it looks like gear enhancement's going to start off. It might be late on Wednesday night, depending on what time zone you're in, or early in the morning your time. If you can nail off that gear enhancement event within CVC, that's also a lot of CVC points. And this is a PR CVC, so there's going to be a lot of interest in people getting points in CVC if you're a CVC clan and player. So that's a great time to hit up gear enhancement, because otherwise there's really less benefit to pick it up outside CVC. You're not double dipping, you're just getting points for it. But you're talking another 15 to 20 million silver here just to get this done. Good news is you had the champ training and Spiders to build up some silver for it if you're not quite there. And then you do have Fire Knight tournament out here, which I would do within the scope of when this Dungeon Divers is out. You can't do that during CVC, but you can get Dungeon Divers points. And then at that point, you'll get a little break. By the way, I wouldn't do anything today. Today's Monday. I'd wait till Dungeon Divers starts for the CVC. I would just take a break here. You know, this is basically all free time. And then you've got Classic Arena, which is easy. Just do your battles. Anybody can do that as long as you're just active and looking for easy wins. And then you've got a Summon Rush here. This is one where, honestly, I'm probably looking to skip, because why pull shards here if I can pull them in the Hero's Path and get 50 points here? So I'm looking at the Hero's Path because there's a very good chance they put the Soul in here for the fusion. And if you're doing the fusion and you want them to do damage, well, if they got a 5-star Soul down here and you can add the ability to get more crit damage on that 4-star and even get some more accuracy to land those debuffs without having to put that in his build, you know, a 4 or 5-star Soul down here would be valuable. Maybe they don't even do it and they give us some event afterwards. You know, they've done that. We don't know. But without knowing that, you know, you've got summon champs and get artifacts. So you got a dungeon divers down here and a champ. It says summon champs. It already has a summon rush. Summon champs usually tells me summon rush. So maybe it's a summon rush, but there's no champ chase in the schedule. So I'm betting this is a champ chase. So you're not going to want to fuse these epics until you hit this Hero's Path, because that's a good 4 epic. Well, you'll get 3 epics because you got to get the fragment, but that's a good 1,050 champ chase points. And they bake those into these schedules often. So they're assuming you're going to pull 3 epics. So if you pull them earlier and don't have those points, you just made this Hero's Path harder. So I would save the epics. I would do this Hero's Path, in which case I would skip the Summon Rush for 25. And personally, I wouldn't plan to skip anything else. What if you just, you know, you're sleeping, you miss it, you're traveling, something goes wrong and you miss some fragments in here? I wouldn't take that chance, so I would skip the 25, and then I would just be heading out here. And if I'm sitting here and I've still got 25 extra, well, then I guess I'll pick one of these last 3, probably Gear Enhancement, save myself some silver, and I'd probably skip Gear Enhancement when I realize I've got the fusion baked in. Or this is a, 50 plus 50. That's interesting, actually. So this is a 50 plus 50, which means there's 50 in here, so you know you can skip 50. There's an extra 50 in here, which is extra fragments. So the base 50 are built in the 400. So you have to do 50 of these. You can't skip the Hero's Path. It's the extra 50 in here, these green ones that are the extra fragments. So, the other thing you could do if you're conservative is, if you don't know what the point totals here will be, you can certainly do the Summon Rush, but then you'd have to do everything up here and the 50 to get the 400 and just skip the extra 50 if you're concerned that they'll make these really expensive. Or you just go all in and do the 100 and then decide to skip this 25. Because the way they're phrasing this is it looks like it's a 50 plus 50. They could make those 4 25s in here and you could have, had more flexibility. But we don't know. We just don't know. So I'm going to go with what they have here, 50 plus 50, and I just don't know. In which case you have to get to 50. And once I'm into the Hero's Path and pulling stuff, usually what they do is they set those first fragments so high that the next set is more, but I'm already in this far. I might as well keep going. So as I said, I'll skip the Summon Rush. I will, unless there's something really crazy here, but Summon Rushes usually are a 25 times progressive type chance. It's usually not a 2 times. So unless they do a guaranteed or a 2 times, I'll skip this. I'll pull here and I'll find something else later on, like Gear Enhancement, to skip that one. So Dungeon Divers then will kick in. I would do Champ Training and Dungeon Divers. They start off together, thankfully. And then you've got Dragon here as well. So do the Dragon within the time frame that the Dungeon Divers is running. At the end of that, you got another chance to clean up some of that gear, another 15 to 20 million silver. And then you've got Ice Golem out here, which you can do during the Hero's Path for get artifacts and accessories. Don't delude yourself. You won't finish the Hero's Path getting artifacts and accessories. They give those low point values, and it's all about summoning champs, but you can at least knock off some portion of which, save yourself a Sacred Shard or some Ancients or Voids, whatever. If they run any bonuses on the shards in here, we won't know until then. We'll see when it comes up in Plarium Play Calendar if they tell us anything, but we don't know if this will just be, no bonuses. That would be unfortunate, but hopefully there's something in there making it worth pull those shards too. But so do what Ice Golem you can, and then there's nothing else running. So it's probably Ice Golem and then shards. And then another easy Classic Arena, which is just participation event. And if you did skip the Hero's Path and you've got to do everything, you've got one more shot at your silver there. So that's 3 gear enhancements. So, you're talking 45 to 60 million silver, depending on how efficient you are. And you've got plenty of chances to earn it through these other events along the way. So it looks like a pretty standard calendar. It has 2 summit events in it, which are usual, 3 gear enhancement events, 3 dungeon divers. So it's a full in all the dungeons. It's a full tournament. It's a full normal fusion plan. As I said, you have to get all of these fragments. You have to get 400 fragments, and then you'll turn those fragments into these epic champions during the hero's path. And at that point, then you can get the epics pulled down, and they've offered no champ training. That's unfortunate. So you'll pull the epics down here, and you have to take them all up to 50, and there's no champ training here. That's kind of, usually they throw one of these champ trainings towards the end because they know you've got to turn these epics into champs, but they didn't give us one. So unfortunate when you're turning all these epics into 50s and either running campaign or taking them into dungeons with a farmer or just using brews in the tavern, you're getting no second benefits for those. So that's unfortunate. I guess, interestingly, this will be Siege, and you do have another CVC out here starting Tuesday, but that's a pretty narrow overlap. But usually these run, this is when the event ends, but usually that means that the calendar's going out to Wednesday. So I guess you don't get champ training, but you do have a CVC here if you just wanted to run them and get the epics loaded up here. You could get the epics to 50, ascend them, and if you're using brews even, I guess at least you're getting some CVC points, but this is a non-PR, so it's probably less exciting to get CVC points anyway, and you probably would have got those. But just so you know, there is some benefit, I guess, but not much. So that looks like the Fusion calendar. I'd be curious in the comments if you're going for this Fusion, just so I know for content for the next 2 weeks, if that's something you're keeping an eye on, and I'll keep you abreast of how I'm doing, or if you just don't care. So are you doing the Fusion? Are you taking them for mod fragments, or this is 2 weeks to go do something else in the game and you just don't care? So I'll be interested. I'll certainly pull the hero's path up at a minimum when that comes up, and I'm probably going to be doing it on 2 accounts if I'm still in for the Fusion at that point. And the rest of these are all normal events, so I don't know that I'll get great feedback if I'm skipping the summon rush anyway. I guess it could be if we see Dungeon Divers points just be crazy high like they sometimes are. Maybe I just lose interest already. But anyway, that's my approach. I'll keep you in the loop, and hope you're enjoying the game one way or the other, whether you're rolling through a Fusion or you're not. Hope you enjoy the 2-week break to go do stuff and build champs, or I hope you enjoy doing the Fusion. Thanks for tuning in.